Hey, William,
Yeah.
I was just checking to make sure my audio is working good.
Yep. You're good.
Thank you. I'm gonna
Hey,
mute
William.
myself and stop
Sorry
my
about
video for now.
what was that?
Were you talking to me, Billy?
Yeah.
I was just saying I'm gonna mute myself and shut down my video for now.
All right.
Just giving you a heads up.
Hey, William, I love your graphics.
Thanks, Jeff.
Do you make my picture live or do I?
Should be able to.
Say again?
You should be able to. Yep, it's live.
Oh, okay. I just don't see me. I just see you.
Yeah, excuse me. It's in a scrolling kind of format. You can.
Oh,
choose-
that's fine. No, as long as it's normal. I was concerned because I've told Jared, but he forgot to tell you. Zoom downloaded a whole different software to me yesterday.
Lovely.
Yeah, that's what, and I told him to tell you, but he forgot. So I was concerned that we would get to this point and there would be differences, but you're controlling everything. So if you think it's okay,
Yep, everything's fine. I can see you.
okay, very good. You know me, I'm always early and always ready.
That's the way we like it.
In fact, if I'm not early and ready, something's really wrong. By the way, though, the graphics do look good, by the way.
Thank you.
You should see, I have my iPad set up almost as a teleprompter with my meeting above my screen. So I can read and not look like I'm, looking down.
That's pretty smart.
Yeah. I also got a note from Jen saying that both Robert and I will be unmuted for the entire thing, so be careful.
You can always mute yourself. You just need to make sure you unmute yourself when you need to speak.
I can stay live as long as I know I'm live. I'm fine. I'm sitting in my basement, which is kind of my sanctuary. My wife is upstairs working. I'm in the basement, which just is fine because it's quiet and I can watch the news and
Nice and quiet.
be set up for this. Yes, absolutely. Oh, there I go. Gallery view puts all the people up.
Yep.
Got it.
Once we get started, I'll stop sharing the video and it'll be more normal view.
Now, like I said, I was just concerned because of its new software. I guess they added those security patches.
Yeah.
didn't know we're making this the Jeff Jones show.
Hey, I'm bored. This is what I do. Nice tie.
Don't let him bully you, Jeff. I love hearing you play.
Thank you. Hear that, Jared? Makes you really angry, doesn't it? Yes, it does.
Everyone on the call is so lucky to hear it.
I feel that way. It's just entertaining me. You can mute me if you'd like.
Doug, was that your wrestling voice?
What's up, Jared?
Was that you who said that they were so lucky to hear that? Was that you?
No, I was thinking it though.
Oh.
Nice.
If it's not Chernobyl boys, Jeff, it's just not my jam. I don't know what to tell you.
I understand that.
Hi, Carl the Muse. How are you, sir?
Oh! That's unauthorized. Oh! That's unauthorized. So, William, you can record?
I can. This is actually being live streamed to YouTube, so
Wow.
the audio once we're done.
Well, I'll direct them directly to my YouTube channel. Market is up 700 points. Jared, I was complimenting William on his snazzy graphics here.
Yeah, he did a really nice job. It looks
They-
great.
Listen, it's very professional. It looks great.
It's not like he has a lot of time on his hands.
No, don't bust him. The poor guy.
He doesn't. No, none of us do. It's crazy.
I'm sure.
Billy, we have a email from Vicky Hebner. She would like to know, would like me to advise on how to access this meeting. I'll forward it to you.
Hi, everybody.
Hey, TG.
Oh, hi, TG.
Hi, Jeff.
Hi, TG.
How's everybody doing?
Good.
What's that a backdrop of?
Maine.
No, it's his parents' Vermont place, isn't it?
Huh?
Yep.
Pretty.
Are those the Green Mountains behind you?
No, not quite. I think it's called Ball Mountain.
Hello.
Very pretty.
Hi, Eileen.
Hi.
We can't see you. Did you not do your hair?
I actually just got done doing it. I was muted. Well, oh my God, I'm so close. Hello. I did a little yard work earlier.
Oh, that's nice.
I
So
tried to
you-
de-stress.
by yard work, you stood there and told Rudy what to do?
Well, I thought kind of, yeah, how'd you know? I thought I was going out by myself, but then he joined me. But we don't even have a rake. How pathetic is that?
You don't own a rake.
That's a lot of yard work.
We don't have a rake. We have a landscaper.
So landscaping says, okay, I want to put a new plant over here and a new plant over
I
there.
actually plant all my flowers, but I was trying to clean the mulch beds or do something with my yard. We'll have to go to my parents or Home Depot and get the rake. A rake. Jared, you look very nice in your tie.
Thank you. I had to put one on for today, I figured. Board of directors.
Put my sweater on.
Try to look official.
Got it. William, since this hasn't started yet, may I ask you a question? When you told me that time to copy and paste that one link to put on the hub for that video.
Yeah.
On my Mac, am I supposed to do the Command C or V, or was it a different command you told me?
Nope, Command C and Command V.
Okay.
Is everybody doing well?
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good afternoon, everyone.
I listed something last night. I'm having 3 showings today. Non-virtual, real showings.
Well, that's interesting. You must be raking it in.
What did you just say?
Raking it in.
Oh, sure. Got
You
it.
have to pay attention.
Got it. Attention.
We're just, Angela's was on and she's having a little problem logging back on. So we'll, we actually have 2 more minutes anyway before 1 o'clock. So we'll get that straightened out.
Sorry, I'm not able to make a phone call at the
Oh! That's unauthorized. That's not me. So William, you can record?
I can. This is actually being live streamed to you.
Jared, when I do the invocation, is it rude that I'm going to continue to sit down? If I stand, you can't see me. And I didn't put a pair of slacks on.
Can't you tilt your camera like this when you stand up?
Sure.
There you go.
You really want me to stand up?
I think we're going to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Are we? Well, I don't want my bottoms to be shown. Okay, I have a sweater on, that's fine.
I'm not looking at your bottoms there. So,
Do you know how hard this is for me?
oh man.
Could everybody hear me?
Now we can. Is that Ange? There she is.
I can only see the top of your head, though.
I know, but that's because I changed the thing, the screen so that I could stand up. How's that? Let me see.
That's perfect.
Okay. I guess we're ready. Hope
We-
nobody else gets on.
We do have a quorum, so but let's give it. It's not 1 o'clock yet, so let's just wait till 1 o'clock, Ange.
Okay.
I don't know if Barry's on. Do we know if Barry's on, Billy? All right, we're waiting on Barry, and I think we're also waiting on our parliamentarian.
What's gonna happen when I stand up?
You missed that conversation. I said, I don't want anybody to see my
Well,
bottom
I'll
down.
have to hold this thing up, I guess.
Close the camera.
Well, you
That's-
can you see my head?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, she's got the
So what
flag.
happens when I sit? You can still see my head. Okay.
It's these big things we have to concern ourselves with.
Parliamentarian is on.
Okay, thank you. Just waiting on Barry then, right?
Barry's on.
Barry's on, perfect. All right, Angela, the
Okay.
virtual meeting is ready to start.
Okay. Good afternoon, my friends, and I hope that this Board of Director meeting finds you and your families well and healthy. I feel the pain of you not working and the stress of fearing the health and safety of your families, friends, clients, and of course, ourselves. It's very hard for us getting used to our new way of life as we practice being socially responsible and putting our lives and businesses on hold. We are today holding our very first online Board of Director meeting via Zoom, and I call this meeting to order. And if we could all stand up for the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. And if we could all remain standing for the invocation by our immediate past president, Eileen Horowitz. Eileen?
Okay. May those assembled here today enjoy the many opportunities afforded by New Jersey Realtors. May we abide by the rules we've established, those of trust, fellowship, and ethics. And may we place service above self in our daily endeavors. May we always test ourselves and our efforts to be sure they're the truth, good for all concerned, of benefit to mankind, and provide peace and understanding. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Eileen.
Thanks, Ange.
Jared, do we have a quorum?
Madam President, we have a quorum.
Okay. I'm assuming that everybody had an opportunity to take a look at the consent agenda. And if you all have, I'd like to a motion to accept the consent agenda as proposed.
So moved.
Second, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
You're
Any
gonna see,
absten-
there's a pop-up, everybody. If you could just click on the pop-up video right there, you see on the consent agenda for approval.
Very nice.
Okay. So when do we know everybody's,
Billy will tell us, Ange.
okay.
Billy, that's great.
He's got nothing but time.
That wasn't me, Bill. I didn't say it.
The motion passes.
Okay, so moved. Motion carried. At this time, I'd like to call our treasurer, Kathleen Moran, to give her report.
Hello, everybody. The membership count for primary and secondary Realtor, Realtor Associate, and Realtor Emeritus members as of March 30, 2020, compared to March 31st, 2019 is March 31st, 2020, 53,646. March 31st, 2019, 52,118. April 3rd, 2020, 50,459. This reflects an increase of 1,341 members comparing March 31st, 2019 to April 3rd, 2020. April 3rd, 2020, non-member licensees are 131. With regards to receipt and disbursement report, we did 95% of our projected dues revenue with an additional dues income expected. All dues for renewing members were due into the association by April 1st. Our membership department is currently working with the local boards to ensure all payments will be received in accordance with the dues collection policy. $5,000 was contributed to the Realtors Relief Foundation to help with the Nashville tornadoes. We need a motion to approve the financial report, March 31st, 2020.
A motion. We need a second
Second.
discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Oh, we're going to vote. Are we voting? Yeah. Okay. You can vote approve, disapprove, or abstain if you'd like. You'll see a little screen on front.
The motion carries.
Okay, so moved. I guess you're waiting for my report, everybody. New Jersey Realtors has had your health and safety as its highest priority in every action that it has taken and will continue to do so. We've been working hard to continue communications with our membership on the most accurate and up-to-date information available. We've crafted a frequently asked question page, which can be found on njrrealtor.com/COVID-19. This was put together to help deal with the influx of questions, and it's updated as frequently as we get new information. We've been communicating with our members via email, website, and now more than ever, social media. For our weekly email, our average rate was 33.5%, which is already above industry standards. Our highest open rate jumped to 40% on April 1st. The click-through rate also jumped from 9.25% to 13%. We have a Facebook following of 12,000 followers. The post reach is more than 48,000 last week. On YouTube, our March update video had over 1,000 views, a big jump from January. We've added 4 new forms to deal with the COVID-19. They are addendum to the contract, sales contract, addendum to seasonal leases, a buyer-seller disclosure form, and a landlord-tenant hold harmless release form. We felt that these additions were necessary to help our members who are still working to continue to do business safely and appropriately. They are now available on our forms vendor sites. A little later, Barry will go into the forms into more detail. On the positive side, we've had in the works, a partnership between PhotoFly and New Jersey Realtors. There's already a partnership between NAR and PhotoFly, and now New Jersey Realtors is proud to announce our partnership that will provide professional marketing assets to our members. The New Jersey specifics assets will be available soon, and the announcement will go on the designated realtors first in the April edition of Designated Realtors. It's the end of my report, and at this time, I'd like to call Jeff Jones, our president-elect, for his report.
Thank you very much, Madam President. In March, the beginning of March, actually, leadership team in the Governmental Affairs Department traveled to Washington, D.C. to meet with the New Jersey elected officials. We discussed current topics of interest, which include the everlasting flood insurance discussion, state and local taxes, and the now very popular infrastructure issue. We appreciated the opportunity to educate our members of Congress on real estate specific issues. And on a personal note, I think we all find it very enjoyable to go and to communicate with them. So it was a worthy venture. Speaking directly about the legislative meetings, Trade Expo, May 11th through 16, even though the upcoming mid-year meetings will not be held in person, you can still attend virtually, just as we're doing now. The virtual experience will include all committee meetings. I shouldn't say all committee meetings, key sessions, and elections. A few key sessions will include the committee business meetings will be held by Zoom. Committee members weeks 27, weeks of April 27th, May 4th, and May 11th. The conference sections will be streamed to a wide audience May 12th through the 14th. The regional caucus will be Thursday, May 14th at 4:30 to 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And the Board of Directors virtual election will take place live streamed Friday, May 15th, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. A full committee meeting schedule will be finalized and posted in the next 2 weeks, and you can find them at legislative.realtor.com. Thank you, Madam President. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Jeff. And at this time, we are looking forward to our report from our CEO, our friend, your friend, Jared.
Hi, everybody. So a couple of things I just want to brief you on. As you know, the staff has been working from home over the last several weeks. I think we're on day 16 right now for the staff working from home. We've created the COVID-19 landing page, which Angela made mention to in her report. On it, we have the FAQ, and we try to keep updating that the FAQ as much as possible. So that's probably your best resource for information when coming to answer a lot of the questions. I know that there are a lot of questions out there. One of the biggest questions we're getting is on the unemployment. As you saw from an email that we put out on Friday of last week, we were told by the Commissioner of Department of Labor that he wants our members to apply for the UI benefit and get denied in order to get the PUA, which is the Pandemic Unemployment Assistance. So I know it's a kind of a convoluted situation. This is all new to all of us, but a member actually has to go onto the Department of Labor website, apply for the UI benefit, put in there as part of the advisory that we put out there is that they should put in there that they are self-employed or employed by themselves. I know that some have put their broker's name in for the UI benefit. I don't think that's going to work against them because I think that they're going to get denied no matter what. But the cleaner way of doing it, the way Barry has advised us to advise the members, is to have them actually put their name in as the employer, submit the paperwork, wait for your denial notice. Once you get the denial notice, you'll need that the notice to then apply for the PUA. Now, everybody's saying, well, when do we find out about the PUA? By law, the federal government said that the PUA sites have to be up and running by this Friday. We're waiting for that guidance, though, from the Department of Labor. And I was hoping that we would have it today, which we don't. But I was told last week that it was going to be done by the end of the week. My guess is hopefully we'll have it by tomorrow or Thursday, the latest. As soon as we have that information, I'll make sure that we send it out to the Board of Directors first, and then we'll upload it and send it out to the entire membership as after we give you guys first notice. The SBA and EDA loan programs launched last week. I know we've been receiving a lot of questions about the SBA loans. And that's for the PPP, the Paycheck Protection Plan. So SBA, the corporate side of things, members can, brokers can apply. You cannot use the independent contractors toward your account. That was a federal guidance. So that's not something that the state had any control over. That's how the federal government wants this program to be run. The thought being that the independent contractor has the opportunity this Friday on the 10th to do their own application. Question we have received is, can an independent contractor apply for both the Paycheck Protection Program, the PPP, and the PUA? And the PUA is the Pandemic Unemployment Assistance. We have not received guidance from either NAR or the state of New Jersey on that. My advice is to apply for both and see what happens, because this is all new to us. Another thing I do want to clarify, and we received a lot of pushback from some members, and that's in regards to the clarification that we saw from the governor in regards to Executive Order 107. Executive Order 107 was that first Saturday when the governor made the announcement that he was going to shut things down, and he deemed certain things essential, certain things non-essential, and we were not retail. That day, we drafted a letter to the governor seeking guidance on, though we are not retail, we were deemed to stay open, but we weren't sure what we were allowed to do under the executive order. So last week, I think it was on Tuesday or Wednesday, we received notice clarifying that our members are allowed to show properties. They're allowed to show on a one-on-one basis or with the immediate family members. No, it's not your immediate family member. We actually got that question from some of our realtors asking us, oh, I could show it with my family. No, you show it with the prospective buyer's family or renter's family. You have to still practice social distancing and follow the CDC guidelines. We're still waiting on some key legislation, one of which is e-notary. The governor's had it on his desk for several weeks now. We're hoping that he signs it, and that should help alleviate some pain points in regards to getting the signature notarized for the forms. Until that's signed into law, there is no federal law and there's no state law. So though we have electronic signatures in New Jersey, that's allowed. We don't have the notarization, the electronic notarization done yet. I don't think it's as big of a problem right now, only because we got guidance on the fact that you as realtors can, or actually the buyers and sellers can work with the attorneys to get things notarized. It's just getting out of the house to get those documents notarized. I know that our government affairs team, who is all on this call today and can answer any questions, has been working through the process. We were hoping that the DCA was going to create a statewide standard for allowing properties to close without receiving a certificate of occupancy. It turns out that the DCA decided that they were not going to weigh in on this issue, and we have to take this municipality by municipality. So that's 565 municipalities that we're dealing with. Some have been very easy to deal with and others not so much. We're doing the best as we can, or they are doing the best that they can to get a hold of those municipalities to help try to get the transaction done, get the CO taken care of. Some municipalities have been unresponsive because there's nobody in the offices, literally nobody in the offices. And some, I think we've been told that aren't going to open up until April 15th. So we're doing the best that we can. We've been notifying the governor's office where we have had some issues to see if they could help step in to help facilitate getting the COs taken care of. Other than that, I mean, I have more to my report, but before I go forward, I was wondering if there's any questions that anybody might have. You could type question in the chat box, and then we'll recognize you to ask your question. Billy, are there any questions yet?
Not yet.
Okay. No? All right. So I do want to point out that the leadership team gave final approval on 2 motions on April 2nd. The 2 motions were, one, to continue with the financial support of the Carrico case versus Holiday City. Barry's going to give a full description of that in his report. And also we are going to join as an amicus to the John C. Sullivan. Excuse me, I'm sorry, I'm getting a phone call.
You got to pick up the kids?
No, no, my kids are here. Are you kidding me? John C. Sullivan versus Max Spann. We're going to join as an amicus. And again, Barry will give you a full briefing on that. Lastly, I do want to let you know that if you remember, we've done those heat map surveys over the last several quarters. Our next survey is going to be another heat map survey, but it's going to be more geared toward the COVID-19 issue and how it's impacting our individual realtors in the field. I'm hoping that we have a good response rate. That survey should be coming out sometime next week and kind of give us a feel for what's going on out there. I know that the governor's office has been in contact with us, trying to get a feel for what's going on out there. We've been trying to pass along information as best as we possibly can to the governor's office. I have to say that his office has been very responsive to our request for clarification. That we are on a weekly phone, 3 times a week, we're on a phone call, an all business phone call. And we have discussions about the issues that our industries are facing. And the staff, the governor's staff has been amazing, honestly, dealing with our questions. So with that, I will conclude my report. I'm happy to answer any questions. And thank you.
Thank you, Jared. And at this time, we're going to ask Barry for our legal update.
I'll start with the cases. Jared just mentioned that there were 2 cases that the leadership team passed motions on that I think that this group has to ratify, if you will. Even though it's a little bit late in the game for that, it had to be done quickly. There are actually 4 cases that New Jersey Realtors right now is involved in, and 2 of them that involve motions, and hopefully you have those motions in front of you. The first one is Holiday City Homeowners versus Scott Carrico in Berkeley Township. This is the case dealing with the adult community, and that is for people 55 and older, which is the exception to familial status discrimination under the under HOPA, and this community requires that owners of the units be 55 and older, whereas the exception to the Fair Housing Act for discrimination only provides an exception for occupants 55 and older. So as a result, when Carrico bought 2 units, actually to flip them, not even to live there, the homeowners association said that he couldn't do that. They fined him, and the board decided to provide support to Carrico. We are paying his attorney's fees because, quite frankly, the amount that is involved would not justify the attorney's fees. We've worked closely with his attorney. The trial judge said that the homeowners association's policy people be 55 and property was, and as a result, granted summary judgment to Holiday City. The case is now on appeal. We filed an application to appear as an amicus, and that application was granted. So we will be actively involved in the appeal. I will argue that. We don't have a date for oral argument at this point, but the motion that is in front of the board at this point is to provide additional funding for Carrico, for his attorney, with regard to the appeal, an additional $10,000. I don't know if anybody has any questions, so it's put to a vote.
Barry, it's Jared. We're actually not going to put that to the vote. The leadership team automatically deemed it approved. We're just making it as an FYI for the board of directors.
You don't get to vote on this. It's a done deal anyway. So.
Right, it's over. That's why we're not putting it to a vote.
Second one that the leadership team agreed to allow us to appear in is, as Jared mentioned, was Sullivan versus Max Spann Real Estate. The attorney review was, Max Span auctioned off a piece of property, provided the paperwork, including the contract, to the ultimate buyer about a month ahead of time, advising the buyer to consult an attorney about it. Highest bidder at the auction then tried to back out, claiming that there was no attorney review clause in the contract that she had to sign right after the auction was over. It appears that one of Max Span's people filled in the information, her name, the amount that she bid, property address, and the like in the contract that Max Form uses for his auctions. Did not have any attorney review clause in it, and so she clause, and it was prepared by a broker. This case is now on appeal. Review clause is not really justified. It's not necessary. And of course, the buyer appealed it. We have been granted leave to appear as an amicus in this case also. So, and we're waiting for a date for oral argument at this point. And of course, when you're dealing with an auction, it is somewhat of a unique situation. Buyers go in and they know when that hammer comes down, they typically, or that's it, it's binding at that point. They sign the contract. If there was an attorney review clause in there that allowed them, 3 days to get out, or the seller 3 days to get out, the seller could always shop that buyer's bid, or the buyer, of course, can, walk from it. And so it's a question of the policy issues involved, whether the court wants to hold us to including an attorney review period because it was prepared by a broker, or should the auction setting really, control this type of situation? And we'll see how the court ultimately decides it. I'd be surprised if this one doesn't ultimately go to the New Jersey Supreme Court because it's an attorney review issue, but we have to deal with the appellate division first.
We have a comment from someone online, from Fran Blakely, regarding Carico. He was still buying properties in this development, if I remember correctly. So is the additional 10,000 only for the appeal?
That's a good question, because we found out that Carico was still buying properties in Holiday City, and we made it clear to his attorney that we were not going to fund, future purchases. We only had provided attorney's fees for the initial 2 units that he bought. If he wants to continue to fight and have another lawsuit, over additional units he wants to buy, the feeling was that he should bear that cost. We're not going to bear that cost. Our test cases with the original 2 units. Any other questions? Okay, let me move on then. Just quickly, the other 2 cases, which you've heard about many times. One of them is Kennedy versus Weichert. It's a case in which Kennedy, a former salesperson at Weichert, has claimed that even though he had an independent contractor agreement, that he really was an employee and was miscategorized by Weichert. And he filed a class action saying that all of Weichert's agents for the last 6 years were miscategorized as independent contractors, and they all should have been employees under the wage payment law. The trial judge ruled in Kennedy's favor and said that they are employees. It is now on appeal. About 2 weeks ago, there was an argument in front of the appellate division. I think the argument went well. It was over the phone, and so I couldn't see the faces of the judges, but based upon their questions, I think that they got it, that it just didn't make sense to classify all of these independent contractors as employees. But I've been surprised before, and not being able to see their faces, it's awfully tough. So stay tuned. Hopefully we'll have a decision in the next few weeks. Typically it takes anywhere from 3 to 6 weeks or 8 weeks to get a decision from the appellate division. Sometimes it's even longer, and these times, who knows? But certainly I will keep you posted. And the final one is Zappia, and that's a case that was brought by the Department of Labor and Workforce against a small broker whose agent had prepared a few BPOs. And the Department of Labor and Workforce said that The payment for those BPOs, because they were a flat fee, even though properly paid through the broker, should have been treated as salary and paid to her as an employee, not as an independent contractor. We moved to intervene in that case in front of the administrative law judge. The judge granted our motion to intervene. We immediately filed a motion for summary judgment. The administrative law judge granted the motion for summary judgment, saying those payments should be treated as an independent contractor, not as an employee to an employee. But her opinion, only as a recommendation to the Commissioner of Department of Labor and Workforce, his decision was supposed to come down within 45 days. He asked for an extension and then a second extension. It's now his opinion as to whether or not he'll adopt the administrative law judge's decision is now due in about a week. With everything that's going on, I wouldn't be surprised if he asked for another extension. And the problem is I could oppose it, but it'll be granted because of the situation that we have with COVID-19. So I don't know when we'll get a decision. If it's an adverse decision, then of course we're going to want to appeal, and that appeal would be directly to the appellate division. And of course, if Department of Labor and Workforce decides that the payment should be as an independent contractor, then the case would be over. So those are the 4 cases. Any other questions? Okay, hearing none. Let's move on to the forums. This has been a busy few weeks for everybody at New Jersey Realtors and me and a couple of other attorneys in my firm, preparing different forms to try to protect realtors in these tough times. The first form that we did was the addendum to the sales contract, because we heard that there were problems with people closing because of the COVID-19 pandemic. So we prepared an addendum to be used that would allow a party, if there were unforeseen circumstances, and we limited it to the pandemic. If there were unforeseen circumstances, a buyer or seller could first postpone the closing. There are 3 options you see there for blank days. And if after that, then either party could cancel the contract so that people weren't, kept on the hook. Second possibility was if a buyer is unable to close on the loan because of the pandemic, unforeseen circumstances, then the buyer could get out of the contract and the deposit would be returned without any liability. And then we provided for other because we feel that there might be individual circumstances. So that's now been out, this form has now been out there for a number of weeks, and hopefully it's helped to ease the situation in terms of problem closings around the state. The next form that we came out with, and I'll take questions after we're done about any of them. The next form we came out with was with regard to seasonal leases. As you know, New Jersey Realtors does not yet have a seasonal lease, a form seasonal lease for its members. I will tell you that we are working on that right now. I was just talking to one of my partners who's working on it, Steve Malenik, and also Tom Donizio is working on it. So we will probably have one in the next few weeks, probably a little late for this season, but that's okay. Going forward, it'll be there. We felt it was important for the members, even though most brokers have their own forms, to have an addendum that if there were unforeseen circumstances because of the COVID-19 pandemic, a tenant would be able to get out of the lease upon certain days' notice, and if the lease is canceled, the deposit would be returned. Understandable, and this is a form that there's no attorney review provision on this because under the attorney review provision mandate from the New Jersey Supreme Court, real estate licensees can prepare leases for less than a year. So these seasonal leases are less than a year. So seasonal leases don't need an attorney review provision, nor does the addendum. And really this form, I think it's more likely to be signed by a landlord. At the time the seasonal lease is signed, a lot of landlords I've heard have balked about signing this after the fact, saying, why should I give the tenant more rights? But it's there, it's part of the arsenal. And for those landlords who feel that it's the right thing to do and have the bigger picture in mind in terms of working with seasonal tenants, especially those who have rented year after year from them. This is a good forum. My advice, though, in these situations, especially when you have towns that now have the right under an administrative order just came down earlier this week to shut down seasonal rentals, in essence. That my advice is that the landlord and tenant should try to work out how to deal with the deposit and the rental going forward. And the landlord should understand that they're behind the 8 ball because of the fact that municipalities now have the right to shut down, these seasonal rentals in any town where that has happened. So this is to be used for any seasonal rental lease that a broker has. Next one that we did was a seller and buyer's hold harmless. And we put this together right after Executive Order 107 that came down from the governor that Jared mentioned. And it was to allow buyers and sellers to move forward with showing houses in these times, but to understand that really the norm should be virtual tours now because there's exposure. Anytime a buyer comes into a house, whether the seller is there or not, there's exposure to the broker, to the seller, to the buyer, and to the buyer's immediate family, even if it's one-on-one and social distancing is practiced. So this form, provides that the buyer and seller are going to hold each other harmless if there is any injury or damage or potential lawsuit as a result of COVID-19, and they'll also hold the broker harmless. The broker, you'll notice, is not holding anybody harmless or releasing anybody. It's the buyer and seller. And the feeling was that the buyer and seller are the ones who want the property to be shown. The buyer wants to see it, seller wants to sell it. Broker really should be taking the position that virtual tours are the norm. Therefore, the broker is not indemnifying anybody or holding anybody harmless, but buyer and seller are. The final form, which you haven't seen yet because it hasn't been posted yet, I just got a text from Teresa earlier today that it's going live this afternoon, is essentially the same form, the hold harmless form that I was talking about for buyer and seller, but for landlords and tenants. Has the same rationale to it. It's limited to COVID-19 issues, and the landlord and the tenant agree to hold harmless each other and the broker if there is any cause of action that should arise. There are also, in both of the forms, for buyers and sellers and landlords, tenants, certain representations that none of them have COVID-19. They have not come in contact with anybody with COVID-19. In this one, it says no current tenants on the property have COVID-19 to the best of the landlord's knowledge. So we tried to cover it in terms of making representations in there too. But those representations are only as good as the honesty of the buyer and seller, landlord and tenant. So those are the 4 forms that we've come out with in the last 2+ weeks to try to help us to navigate through these tough times. And as I said, a seasonal lease is likely to come a few weeks down the road. Any questions? Don't all speak up at once.
Questions in the chat area.
Okay, hearing no questions. Madam President, I turn it back to you.
Thank you, Barry, for your update and keeping us all informed as usual. Does anyone have any unfinished business that they'd like to bring up? Okay. New business. Anyone?
I see a question that just came up.
Okay.
Is there a possibility the shore rental season will be canceled? In my opinion, I'll let Jared answer this. From a legal point of view, it could happen, depending upon how long, all of this drags out. I certainly don't know. Municipalities, as of right now, it's municipality by municipality in terms of shutting down seasonal rentals. Some, like Lavalette, have shut it down with regard to Airbnb and VRBO and those types of website, I'll call them brokers, but have allowed rentals by local realtors. Some have shut it down, period. So I don't know what's going to ultimately happen, and I'll let Jared address it further.
And I guess it's as far as it depends on how far the governor it keeps the state shut down. If he keeps pushing things out, then he's going to start to cut into the seasonal rental market or seasonal rental season. I know that based on yesterday's press conference from the governor's office, listening to him, it seems like he's already planning on pushing the state lockdown or stay at home to the end of April. Could that extend maybe into May? Possibly. I guess it depends on how fast we flatten the curve and we get out of this. So Ken, as of right now, we don't have a definitive answer. Nothing has been said on any conference calls that we've had with the front office. If he's hinting at that, I will make sure that I will let you guys know that that is a possibility. But as of right now, it is not, and it has not been discussed.
Looks like there's another question.
Yep. It says, can you see it, Barry, or do you need me to read
I
it?
can see part of it. Oh, here we go. Maybe on the side. Just, here we go. If a tenant becomes critically ill or dies as a result of COVID-19, and the remainder of the lease be terminated by the tenant without damages, I will tell you that it really depends upon what's in the lease. Usually the lease terms would govern something like that. And so I would suggest, there's no concrete answer that I can give you with regard to that. I think that certainly a court would be very sensitive to somebody dying from COVID-19, but it probably at the end of the day wouldn't be different than if somebody died from, a heart attack or some other cause. But if you get that kind of question, my suggestion is that you should advise the parties, whoever asks it, consult an attorney, because they're going to have to look at the lease in order to give you concrete advice.
We have a question from David Weisbrot.
It's kind of a double question. Are there any guidelines, one, revealing if someone has expired from COVID-19? And I had a question from a couple of landlords who are giving 90-day grace period to tenants, but their leases will run out before that 90 days is up. They're worried there's no recourse to recapturing that rent if the tenant then leaves because they're not extending the lease, or if the landlord doesn't want to extend the lease.
In terms of protocols, I don't think that there is anything from the CDC or the governor that requires if you were in isolation for 14 days and you're past the 14-day period and have, or have come down with COVID-19, I don't think there's any requirement that you disclose it. I think that as a realtor, certainly if you're within that 14-day period, you have an absolute obligation to disclose it to the parties. There's no doubt in my mind about that. With regard to the lease situation, I haven't seen any guidance. I don't know how the courts are going to deal with the type of situation that you just described. It's going to depend upon what type, how future executive orders are written in terms of being able to collect rent. I don't know what protection. I haven't seen any protection built in for the landlord at this point. I would think that the landlord would still have the right to sue the tenant for the 3 months rent. Even if the tenant moves out, if the tenant hasn't paid, I'd be shocked if that wasn't the case because it's a forbearance period. It's not a waiver of the rent. But, I think we're going to have to wait to see how that plays out.
Any other questions? None seen? Anyone like to bring up a different topic, anything? Okay. I'd like to take a moment to thank Jared and the entire New Jersey Realtor staff for the great job that you've all been doing and keeping us updated with everything that's been going on. And for us, the road ahead for New Jersey and New Jersey Realtors is going to be a hard one. So now more than ever, we must take care of each other and look forward that this will end and stay positive. Keep yourselves healthy, keep yourselves safe, and we will see and have a live meeting real soon. At this point, I'd like to call for an adjournment of the meeting. Thank you. Thank you all.
Sorry, we actually have
We have one more question before we close.
Okay.
From William Nelson. I've had a few ask about the mortgage relief programs being offered. Is there any direction from the state to tack the payments on the end of the loan rather than do at one shot past the forbearance timeframe? I see a lot of foreclosure filings once we get past this.
William, basically what we've been told by the governor's office is that it's a case-by-case basis, and meaning that it's up to how they negotiate the relief from their mortgage company, and whether or not the mortgage company is going to tack it on the back end or expect payment after 90 days. Each company is handling it differently. Okay, I think that's it. Any other questions before we close?
Okay, everybody, please stay safe. If you have any questions or if you have any concerns, feel free to call our Jared and anyone at staff or myself, and we'll try to get your questions answered. And have a great day.
All right, be safe, everyone.
Stay safe. Enjoy the holidays, everybody.
Thank you.
Oh, yes, happy Easter and happy Passover.
Happy Easter, happy Passover. Stay safe.
Happy holidays, everybody.
Thank you. Stay safe.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.